Welcome back to another Spirit Island video. In this video, we'll be continuing our series on Is This Spirit for You? In this video, we'll be talking about Keeper of the Forbidden Wilds. The setup is going to be a Presence and a Wilds on your starting board in the highest numbered jungle. The playstyle says, a slowly growing wall, expanding can sometimes be difficult, but the invaders will have an equally difficult time penetrating wherever the Keeper plants itself. In larger games, it may be useful to spread to one or two far distant lands early on. They have multiple points from which to slowly grow. The complexity is a moderate complex spirit. Summary of powers, very high offense, some control tools, low fear, high defense, and I guess decent utility. Once again, I think these bars are pretty inaccurate. I think the defense is actually non-existent. So I'd probably put it all the way down like this. I think the utility is probably higher. And I think the control is probably, I think this is about the same. Just I think the defense is definitely not what's listed here. Flipping over the spirit board, we have Forbidden Ground. This is anytime you create a sacred site, push all Dahan from that land. And this gives you another way to move Dahan. And a lot of players, they think Keeper is not a Dahan spirit because it can kill Dahan via the innate as well as Towering Wrath. But really, Keeper is one of the best Dahan spirits in the game, and that's because every time you make a sacred site, you get a free Dahan push, and then ideally you want to draft for defense. Now, looking at our growth options, we are a pick 2, which means we're going to pick 2 of these 4 options. We have a Reclaim, gain an energy. We have gain a power card, place a presence, gain an energy, and then we can choose to place a presence, gain a power card, but it's going to cost us 3 energy. Keeper's growth options are really, really powerful. You have the ability to double grow via your G3 and G4. You have the ability to gain 2 energy, reclaim, and place a presence with G1 and G3. If you need to gain 2 cards, you can gain it via G2 and G4. Really, you can do anything with Keeper. Your tracks are some of the best in the game, ending at 9 energy and 5 plays. Very easy to get to 5 plays. And you also have a Sun and Moon on top track. Because of the 2 energy on your growths, a lot of times all you need is to get to 4 energy, and you'll pretty much destroy any adversary because 4 energy plus your 2 energy from your growths in 5 plays, and there's really nothing the invaders can do. The left and the right innate. The left innate is going to be this damage innate, the slow powered 0 range, 2 damage, kill a Dahan, and then if you have the second threshold, you can increase that damage by +1 per Sun plant. If you have 4 plant, you can divide this between 2 of your lands. So just very powerful innate that further increases Keeper's action economy in the mid to late game. Like this innate here will clear 2 lands, which is just absurd. The right innate is Spreading Wilds, slow power, 1 range, cannot target a land with Blight. You can push Explorers and add Wilds, and then you have 2 ways to increase the range. Just another very powerful effect. You're stopping a build by pushing an Explorer, and then you're putting a Wilds there, stopping a future Explorer. So like the left innate and the right innate are essentially 2 actions, while most spirits, left and right innates may only be a single action. Looking at the 4 power cards here, we have Boon of Growing Power. It's a 1 energy slow power, target a player. Sun, Moon, Plant. Target spirit gains a power card. You target another spirit, they also gain an energy. Sacrosanct Wilderness. It's a 2 energy fast, Sun, Earth, Plant. 1 range, cannot target a land with Blight. Push 2 Dahan, and then 2 damage per Wilds, or you can add a Wilds. So it's a great way to combo with your right innate. And it also gives you another way to move Dahan. Towering Wrath is this 3 energy slow power, Sun, Fire, Plant, Sacred Site, 2 fear, and then for each Sacred Site in/adjacent to target land, 2 damage, and then destroy all Dahan. This is a great way to hit your left innate, and also rewards proper Sacred Site positioning. And finally, we have Regrow from Roots as a 1 energy slow power, targeting a jungle wetland, Water, Earth, Plant. If there are 2 or fewer Blight, remove a Blight. So essentially this is your Blight healing, which is I think what they're factoring in as a defensive card here. Now, is this spirit for you? Keeper gets a rep for being very overpowered, and in a way, it is pretty strong. I think it's a little bit overblown with just how strong people say the spirit is. I think part of that is because like I said, because you're getting 4 energy plus 2 energy from your spirit board, and you have 5 plays, you can pretty much just grab any major and just play it and threshold it because of the 5 plays. You have plenty of great elements. So with Keeper, it's more about surviving the first like 2 to 3 turns, and then eventually you're going to activate. Um, so how the Spirit plays out is it's going to have few tools in the early game. So if you're a player that likes fast control, if you like being very proactive, this is not the Spirit for you. Keeper is very reactive, very draft dependent. You'll be drafting a card on turn 1, then you one card in the growth, a second card in the slow phase, and then on turn 3 you'll be drafting a third card. So you'll have 3 drafts to look for that defend. Doesn't generate much fear in the early game, but in the late game it can generate quite a lot. Plenty of utility, a lot of support, a lot of combo potential with this spirit. It's just a very good spirit. Once it reaches like turn 4, I would say, is like right when it activates. And that's because usually what you want to do with the spirit is you grow to the top sun, then you'll choose your G2 and G4, such that you'll have 4 energy in 2 plays. And then ideally on turn 3, you would choose, oops, not G2 and G4, I meant G3 and G4. Because that would allow you to get this 4 energy as well as this 2 plays here. And then ideally on turn 3, you're going to do G3 and G4 again. And that should get you to that 3 plays. And once again, you've reached that coveted 3-3. And that's the idea that if you're generating 3 energy and having 3 plays a turn, you can pretty much do anything. This is one of the few spirits where I would love to make a guide if I had the time, just because this is a spirit that I played quite a lot of, or I used to. But now it's just, a lot of times it just rules over a lot of the adversaries, so I tend to not pick it anymore. But if I do have the time after my NI guides, then this will be one of the spirits next up on the list. The NI expansion came out with a new aspect for Keeper, and it's called Spreading Hostility. It's going to get rid of that 4th growth option here. It's also going to half the energy track on top track. So this is going to be 1 energy, 2 energy, 3 energy, 4, 4, and 5. It says your sacred sites now count as Badlands, or may count. Energy on top track is halved, rounded up, which is what I've done. And then you have a new growth option. It gives you a fire element, 2 presence moves, and then 1 damage fast at 0 range. So it's really cool if you can create that sacred site, create the sacred site, and then you may do 1 damage fast, which becomes 2 damage. So it allows you to clear land. And you also start with 1 energy, so keep that in mind. Now, how does this aspect play for Keeper? It's going to give you a lot of tools in the early game, because using this G4 here, it's going to give you fast damage, which can fast disrupt invaders. In addition, it's going to give you that fire and presence movement. The presence movement creates that sacred site pushing to Han, and then the fire helps enable that left innate a lot easier. So you're going to be able to be far more proactive in the early game. But since your top track is very constrained because of the energy, and you have cards like Towering Wrath and Sacrosanct, so it's going to be harder to play these cards. So as a result, playing majors is going to be a lot more challenging on this aspect. In addition, you're going to be losing that 4th growth option that lets you place extra plays or extra presence. So you'll be growing a lot slower throughout the game. And most games, remember, are only going to go 6 to 7 turns. And as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So likely the best you'll get is 2 energy, 5 plays in most of your games. And that's assuming you don't draft like Unrelenting Growth or get support from other spirits. So this aspect is going to increase your offense, increase your control. It's going to decrease your endgame potential. If you like this video, like, subscribe for more content. I will see you guys in the next video.